Hi, in this session, I will explain about exception handling. So first let's see what is an exception and then we'll see how to handle these exceptions in Snowflake scripting. Okay, in Snowflake scripting, an exception occurs when any statement is failed to execute because of any error. That means our Snowflake stored procedure, when it encounters any error, it will raise as one exception. Okay, so what this exception will do? This exception will prevent the next lines of code from executing. That means suppose if we have 10 statements in a procedure and an error happened in the first step, then it will not execute remaining 9 steps. It will come out of the procedure by throwing that error or the exception. So this exception will prevent the next lines of code from executing. Okay, we can handle these exceptions that occurs in the procedure by using handler. Suppose when the script is raising one exception, then we can define a handler to handle those exceptions. Okay, so when an exception is raised in a Snowflake scripting block, either by because of the code or because of the SQL statement, so because of whatever reason it fails to execute, it will raise one exception. Okay, Snowflake scripting attempts to find a handler. So when an exception being raised, okay, it will try to find a handler for that exception and it will perform certain action that is defined in the handler definition. Okay, so we can define our own exceptions as well in Snowflake scripting. That means suppose while validating some conditions, if I see some there is no data in the table, okay, or some other if I can guess what kind of error it may throw, okay, so we can define those exceptions and we can take certain actions in our exception handler. Okay, so we can declare exceptions in declaration section by using below statements. Below statement, declare, okay, exception name. So we have to put one name for the exception and this is of exception type, and we have to specify two properties for that. What is that error code and what is the error message to be returned. Okay, so here we have a limitation. The error code should be between this value and this value. So this is a signed integer, so it is a negative value. Okay, it should be in the range of this range. Okay, so this is about exception. Now let's see how to handle these exceptions by using handlers. Okay, we can define handlers in the exceptions block of a procedure. So we can define, okay, we can define exceptions in the declaration section, but we can handle those exceptions in the handler section. Okay, exception exception handler section. Okay, currently Snowflake provides the following built-in exceptions. So as of today, Snowflake is providing two types of inbuilt exceptions. They are statement error and expression error. So statement error, when this exception will come. Suppose if if we have SQL statement in our procedure and if any statement is failing, suppose we are trying to drop a table that doesn't exist, or we are trying to select a column that is not present in that table, that means this is completely SQL type error. So in that case it will raise the statement error exception. That means SQL statement is failing. And we have another built-in exception, that is expression error. That means uh, in case of so in procedure, along with the SQL statement we'll have some expressions like assigning the variables, calculating some values, calculating some functions. Okay, so it can be anything other than the SQL statement. So if it encounters any error while validating those expressions, okay, it will throw expression error. Okay, suppose here I have given one example. For example, if you create an expression that evaluates of a varchar and you try to attempt to assign that value to a float or date. Suppose I have a value of date or float, but I am trying it to assign it to a varchar, or I am trying it to assign it to a integer. In that case, this expression error will come. Okay. So these are the two built-in exceptions available in Snowflake or Snowflake provides. Okay. And so what is a handler? So if any exception is the program is raising any exception because of any error, so we have to write a handle. That means whenever this exception is happening, so how it should be handled. So what are the list of actions to be performed, that we have to define in the handler section. So our handler gives three details about this exception. One is SQL code, second one is SQL error message, and the third one is SQL state. So this SQL code is a 5-digit integer, and for user defined exceptions we have to specify the SQL code in this range only. This is for user defined exceptions, but whenever it is encountering like Snowflake built-in exceptions, it will throw one error code based on the error type we have, based on the error message we have. Okay, so here error message is the important one, because it will give the details about the error, why it is failing, so where it is failing. Suppose we are trying to drop a table that does not exist, then it will throw that error. And when we are trying to do some wrong assignment or wrong calculation, then this error message will let us know what is the exact issue in that error. Okay. And SQL state, this is a 5-character code modeled in ANSI SQL standard SQL state. Okay, so this is not an important property. So but these two are the important properties. So if you want to correct your error, this SQL error message is very important. So based on this only you can identify where the exact issue is and you can fix that issue. Okay, hope you are understanding. So exception is nothing but uh, in a stored procedure. Okay, if any statement is failing because of an error, okay, our procedure will raise one exception. And if we don't handle that exception, then our procedure will fail, and because of that exception it will prevent the next lines of code being executed. Okay, so we have to handle those exceptions by using exception handler. So there are two types of exception handler, statement and error. So we can define our own exception and that and a handler for that. So what handler will do? It will give three details: SQL code, SQL error message, and SQL state. So based on this SQL code and SQL error message, we can return that error, or we can log all the errors into a table. Okay, so we can perform certain actions based on the uh, handler definition, in the handler definition. Okay, so now let's see how the syntax of this exception handling block. Okay, so other than the Snowflake scripting built-in exceptions, so if I want to raise any exception and if I want to handle that user-defined exception, so first we have to declare it in the declaration section. Okay, declare the exception name and the type is exception, and we have to put a code, okay, SQL code, error code, and we have to supply one error message as well. So whenever this exception is happening in our uh, in the body section, okay, so we can raise this exception and we can define a handler in the exception block. Okay, suppose if the program is encountering any statement error or any expression error, then also we can handle in the exception block. So let's see what is the syntax of this exception block. It should be like in between exception and end. Okay, so I told, right, there are two types of errors: statement error. So when it is statement error, so here I am constructing one object with these values. So what is the error type? If it is a statement error built-in exception, then so this is the statement error I want to return. Okay, so what is the SQL error code and what is the SQL error message? Okay, so if it is a expression error, then the same I am returning, but my error type is here expression error. So if we have any user defined exceptions, like so here in this program we are declaring this my exception, right? So in case of when the program encounters this exception, so what is the handler? So just return this key value pairs that returns the details like error type, error code, SQL error message, and SQL state. Okay, so when program encounters any other error than these three, so we are defining three here, the two inbuilt and one user defined. So if our program encounters any error other than these three specified, then what I'm saying, when any other, then so the error type is other error, and we are logging this SQL code, SQL error message as well. So like this we can define our exception block. Okay, suppose if you are confusing now, okay, when I explain with proper examples, right, that time you will easily understand. So what I'm suggesting, so first go through this theory video, and then go through the practical video where I'll explain two or three examples, so how to handle exceptions. Okay, then come back to this theory video so that you will better understand. Okay, so let's see some examples, so how to handle these exceptions in Snowflake. Okay, thank you. Okay, let's see how to handle these exceptions with some examples. Okay, so I have the code ready in my notepad. I am copying it to Snowflake editor. Okay, so here I'll explain two examples. The first one is, it's a demo program to know how to handle the exceptions, and the second one is how to log the errors in case of any errors in the program, in the stored procedure, how to log those errors into a log table. We'll see these two examples. Okay, so here my requirement is to get the number of employees working in the given country. So we have employee table, and there are uh, so many employees working across countries. So if I pass the country name, I want to get the number of employees working in that country. Okay, so I am writing a procedure for this with the name SP exception handling demo. Okay, and I am passing the argument country because we need to find the number of employees working in that country. Okay, so the returns it returns integer. That means the number of employees working in the country is a integer type. I am returning that. Okay, and I am declaring some variables if you see. So the first one is I am declaring our own exception. This is called user defined exceptions. So what I am saying, my variable name is no data found of exception type, and in case of whenever we raise this no data found exception, so what is the error code and error message to be returned? So this is the error code I am manually giving. So I told, right, the limit should be within the specified limit. This code should be within the specified limit, and I want to return the error message like no data found in the employees table. Okay, so and I am defining some more variables, a CNT of integer type, LOC EMP count of integer type, and LEC, a variable with the name LEC of date type. Okay, so the first one what I am saying, okay, select count of star into a variable called CNT from the employees table. So it will fetch the employees table count and store the result into this variable CNT. And whenever this CNT is 0, that means when there are no records in the employee table, what I am saying, raise no data found exception. Okay, so first it will check the number of records present in this employees table. If that record count is 0, then it will not execute all the code. What it will say, it will raise one exception. Okay, raise no data found. So what is no data found? Here we have defined that. Okay, this is exception type, and this is the error code, and this is the error message. So this will be returned. Okay, and the next one, so what I'm saying, so here there are lot of tables. If we want to fetch the location wise, country wise number of employees, so we have to join our employees table with the departments table based on the department ID, and join with the locations table based on the location ID, and because this country ID is available in the locations table. Okay, so we have to get that country ID from the locations table, and this country ID should be whatever we are passing as an argument to this function, to this procedure. So for the given country we have to find out, right? So I'm passing that argument here. Okay, So what this query will do, it will select the count of employees for the given country and stores the results into this LOC EMP count variable of integer type. Okay, so then I am returning number of employees working in the given country is, so whatever we are fetching the number of employees in the given country, right? I am returning that variable here. Okay, so hope you understood what I am doing here. Okay, so and I'm defining the exception block here. That means whenever some error is whenever it may fail sometimes, right? So in case of statement error, okay, so I told you, right, this is the syntax of exception block. So there can be multiple types of error: statement error, expression error, or our own defined exceptions. Okay, in case of statement error, what I'm saying, return one object, okay, that contains error type, error code, error message, and error state. Okay, so these are the properties of the error. So error type. So if it is a statement error, then error type should be statement error. If it is a expression error, then the statement type should be expression error. Okay, if it is our user defined exception, then pass it as user defined exception. And this SQL code, SQL error message, SQL state will come automatically based on the error it has encountered. Okay, if it is a statement error, this will be different. If it is a expression error, this will be different. If it is encountering user defined exceptions, then whatever the SQL code, SQL error message we are passing here, the same will be returned. Okay, so this is how I am defining the exception block. So what is this object construct? If you get this doubt, so this is just to construct a object with key value pairs. So suppose here error type is a key and value is statement error. SQL code is a key and SQL code actual which returns the SQL code, that is a value. So to construct a object with a list of key pair values, then we use this object construct function. So it will return all these elements. Okay, so let's see. So first of all, I'm creating this function. Okay, so this is a procedure. The procedure has been created, and so let's call this procedure for two countries. Okay, here what I'm saying, so call this procedure for the country US. So when I execute this, it will return the number of employees working in the country US is 67. And when I execute the same function for country UK, so this will be 34. Now, if everything goes fine, okay, it will return the number of employees working in that country. But suppose if there is any error in this procedure, okay, let's see what will happen. Suppose uh, first let's see about statement error. Okay, I told you, right, statement error, so whenever some SQL statement is failing, it will throw the statement error. So this is the only SQL statement we have here. Remaining so these all are expressions, right? So this is SQL statement, this is SQL statement, okay, but this is a expression. No. Okay, suppose let's consider this is a expression. If this is failing, what will happen? We'll see. Okay, first let's make the stored procedure such that it will fail with a statement error. So here what I am doing, I am selecting the data from employees to table instead of employees. So this table is not present in this HR data schema. So if the table is not present, then let's see what will happen. Okay, so I am recreating this procedure after modifying the table name here, or you can put some other table like departments to something like, okay, so that your SQL statement will fail. Okay, I'm recreating this procedure and I'm calling this procedure now. Let's see what will happen. So if you see, so the procedure execution failed and it has returned some values. So what it is returning, so whatever here we have mentioned, error type is statement error, error type statement error. So SQL code for this failure. So what is this failure? Okay, so what is the error message? SQL compilation error, object employees to does not exist. So I told, right, this table is not present in our HR data schema, so it is throwing this error message. For this SQL code is 2003 and SQL state is something like this. So this is not an important parameter or not important property. You can ignore this. It is returning some status like this 42S02. But these two are important, SQL code and SQL error message. Because if you want to correct the error, so you should be able to get what is the exact error message. Based on that, you can fix your code. Suppose it is saying employees to table doesn't exist. Okay, later I realized, okay, this table is not present. Let's use this employees. Okay, so I'll just recreate this procedure. Okay, and I will execute the procedure again for this country US. Now it's working. So hope you understood what is statement error. Now let's see the expression error. Okay, so here now I'm doing this thing. Okay, so this is LEC is a, so if you see, LEC is a date type variable. Okay, and whatever the this employee count we are fetching, right, it is of integer type. Now what I will do, I will assign this integer type value to a date variable. Okay, and instead of returning this, okay, I will return this one. Okay, return number of employees working in this country is, so instead of LOC EMP count, I am passing LEC. Okay, so this one. So now I am trying to assign an integer value to a date type. That means it is an expression and it may fail with an expression error. Let's see. So let's recreate this procedure. Okay, and call this procedure. Okay, so now you can see. Okay, so this is error type is expression error. Okay, SQL code is this one, and it is saying SQL compilation error. Invalid type cast number to a date of parameter to date. So it is saying so this assignment is not correct. Data type mismatch is there, and it is also suggesting a solution. So try to convert this number into a date and return a date like that. Okay, so now hope you understood this is expression error. So whenever some expression is failing, not only like data type errors, it can be any of expression errors. Okay, so all the code except this SQL statement are like expressions only in our procedure. So anything is failing other than SQL statement, it will be returned as a expression error. Okay, I hope you understood. Now let's correct this. Okay, I am just commenting this line. This line also I am commenting, and I am uncommenting the original line. Okay, I am creating this now and execute this procedure for any country, US or UK. Okay, so now it's working fine. So this is how you can define exception, uh, handle exception. Okay, so this is how, based on the error message you are getting, this is how you can correct your procedure. Okay, so hope you understood. Okay, so I'll come to this no data found exception in the next program. Okay, okay. So our first program is completed. Suppose I have a requirement. Okay, so I don't want to return these errors. That means I don't want to display these errors, but I want to insert all these errors into a table. In real time we do that only, right? So we create one error table or log table, and if any procedure is failing, i want to uh, I want to log all those errors into one table. Okay, it can be any of statement error, expression error, or user defined error, whatever it is. Okay, I want to log all those errors into a table. Okay, let's see how we can do that. Okay, before that we have to create the error logs table, right? So I am creating one error logs table with this one. So what is the procedure failed, and what is the error type, what is the error code, what is the error message, and what is the SQL state of that error. Okay, uh, I want to load all these values into this SP error logs table. So for that I am creating this table, and before that I want to create this error logs table in the work schema. So first create this work schema if doesn't exist. Okay, Okay, I have created this employee.work schema, and I'm creating this table SP error logs table. Okay, okay, my table is there. Now let's see how we can write this procedure. The same procedure I am writing here. So I am naming it as SP error logging demo, and I am passing the same country argument here. Okay, I am creating one exception, no data found exception. I am declaring one exception. The same program. So just what I am changing here is, instead of returning that object, I am logging these errors into a table, so which we have created just now, that is SP error logs. So how to do that? So exception, when it is statement error, okay, then insert into this error logs table, okay, with these values. Okay, so this is our procedure, right? SP error logging demo. So I am hard coding the procedure name, which is throwing this error, or which is logging this error into log table. So that procedure name I am hard coding. And if it is a statement error, then the error type should be statement error. Okay, and I'm also logging the SQL code, SQL error message, and SQL state into this table. So when it is expression error, okay, everything is same except this error type. Okay, and if it is a user defined exception, which we have defined in our declaration block, okay, then log like this. Okay, so this is the procedure name, this is a error type, user defined exception, and these are the same. Whatever we have defined in our exception, the same will come. Okay, so this is how I am handling my exceptions now. I am not returning, but inserting all the error logs into a table. Okay, so let's create this table. Sorry, let's create this procedure. So I have created. Okay, now, okay, I'm run calling this procedure for one country. Okay, SP error logging demo with for the country US. Okay, let's run this. So it did not return anything. So it is just throwing it. It is returning one null. That means it is not returning any value. That means it is not returning the number of employees working in the given country. That means something failed in between. So let's see what happened. Okay. So how we can do that? Okay. If I suppose some error happened, and those error log details are stored in this table now, right? So SP error logs table. So let's execute this statement. Select star from SP error logs. Okay. Okay. If you see one entry made in this table. So this procedure failed. Okay. So with the expression error, and this is the error code, and this is the error message. So the same data type error it has encountered, and it has logged this entry into the logs table. So why this happened? If you see the code clearly here, I am assigning this count into a date type variable. So LEC is a date type variable, but I am assigning integer value. Okay, so when I do this, expression error will come, and the same has been logged, right? Hope you are understanding. Based on the based on the exception it is getting, and based on the handling we are doing, so it is making entry into the logs table. Suppose let's do this. Okay, so comment this line, and okay, and I'm making one more error here. Okay, statement error. So departments 2 table is not there, right? So I'm just creating this procedure with a wrong table name. Okay, I have created it, and I'm executing the same procedure for country US. Now also it did not return anything. That means some error happened. So let's check. Okay, okay. See. So now this is a statement error, and it is saying this HR data dot departments table, departments 2 table does not exist. Okay, so now it is logging statement error into this table. Okay, so if you want to know, so what is the time it has failed, and what is the time it has logged this entry into the error table, so you can put one extra column like this. Okay, So you can create, while creating the table itself, you can create like this. Okay, sorry, load time. Okay, of timestamp. Okay, I'm recreating this table like this. Okay, create or replace, I have to mention. Create or replace this table. Okay, okay. Now we have to modify our exception block as well because one more column is there, right? Okay, so load time. Okay, okay, and we have to pass the value as well. So suppose I am passing simply sysdate. Okay, let's recreate this procedure. Okay, and execute this. So it has failed. As I have recreated this table, so previous two errors are gone. So whatever the recent failure, that is logged in. Okay, statement error. Okay, departments 2 table does not exist, and you can see the load time here. That means when this procedure was failed and when the this entry was inserted into this error logs table, that time you can see here. Okay, so hope you are understanding. So we have covered statement error and expression error. Now let's see the user defined exception. Suppose what is the user defined exception we have declared here. So when there is no data in this employees table, then rise this no data found. Okay, let's see. Suppose let me delete the data from this employees table. Okay, so before that, let's create the correct function, correct procedure, and just see. So because we have data, so if the procedure is correct, okay, it will work like this. Number of employees working in US is 67. Suppose, let me delete the data from this table. Delete from, okay. So all the data, so there are 107 records in this table and everything got deleted. Okay. So now let's execute the same function, okay, for country US. So again, it is not returning anything. That means something is failed. So let's go back to this error logs table. So let's check. Okay, so you can see the user defined exception, right? It has logged one entry with the user defined exception, and this is the error code what we have mentioned while declaring it. If you see here, so minus 20101, this is the one we have declared, right? And no data found in employees table. So whatever we have given here, and you can see the SQL state is something like this P0001, and this is the time when this record was inserted into this table. Okay, so this is how user defined exceptions works. Okay, that means when you want to throw your own error based on the error, so you have to think like what error may come. Suppose if no data is there, so I don't want to execute all the program unnecessarily. Don't waste the resources. Okay, don't consume the credits unnecessarily. In that case, I can check the count first in the first statement itself, and there is no data, just raise this exception and come out of this procedure. Okay, so hope you understood how we can handle exceptions in different ways, how we can return those errors, how we can return insert those exception details into a logs table. Okay, so what are the different exceptions? Hope you understood. Okay, thank you.